Today we're going to turn this into this. In 2008, I began building my own recording studio. The name of this studio was Dark River Studios. Those of you that have been following me for a long time on Facebook and Instagram, you've seen me check into a Dark River Studios thousands of times over the last 15 years. Oh my God. Now the name was Dark River Studios, plural, because the intention was to always have more than one control room. I poured every single dime I had into that building and never got to the point where the second room was up and running before I actually got kicked out of that building, along with a whole bunch of other people, for it to be redeveloped into condos. Now all these years later, I've still kept the name Dark River Studios, and I have always had the intent of having a second room. And in this video, that's finally happening. So sorry for the sound quality, the audio in here. It's about to change. And this feels like a full circle moment for me. This is taking so long to get here. When we built this house failed inspection twice because of this room that was always intended to be a second studio, a second room, in addition to like being a lounge. I drained my bank account building this house and building that room right over there that you guys have all seen in all these videos. So I asked the builders to just frame this room up and put the electrical in, and I would insulate it, drywall it, finish it later, because I was just running out of money. Well, unfortunately, because of that, this house failed inspection. That bathroom that's right there, apparently it's against code to walk from an unfinished space into a finished space. And so they said, we have to do more work on your room. And I said, what do you gotta do? And they said, well, we have to insulate it and that should do it. So I wrote them another check with money that I didn't have to spend. And they insulated this whole room. I got a call a couple days later. They say, your house just failed inspection again. I said, why now? And they say, because the insulation isn't enough. Apparently we have to drywall it as well. So I wrote them another check with money that I didn't have to spend, and they put the drywall up, and I went ahead and had them paint it because I hate finishing drywall. If you're gonna drywall it, you might as well get it to this point. And then this room sat completely empty with no floor and no cabinets, no countertop, no sink, no nothing, for almost a year. When I say I drained my bank account building this place and getting this up and going, I mean drained. I mean down to nothing. This is a reoccurring theme in my life. That recording studio that I built in Illinois, I went in crazy amounts of debt for. I put every dime to my name into that studio, and I did it again here. So after about a year, I saved up enough money to buy cabinets. And I went and picked up the cabinets myself, and I installed these cabinets myself because I couldn't afford to have a cabinet builder do it. And after 4 or 5 more months, I finally was able to afford the countertop, and I did have that installed. And a few months later, I kept saving, and I saved up enough money to buy the floor, and I installed the floor myself because I didn't have the money to pay someone else to do it. I put a couch right there and a TV right there, and this was just a break room, just a lounge for the longest time. But the plan was always to turn this into a second studio, probably for an assistant. So while this might not be a big deal to some of you, the fact that this is getting finished is like, it's such a big deal to me. 15 years ago, I chose a studio name that had studios, plural, in it, because I wanted this to happen. 15 years this took. What a journey. So we're gonna build this room out, acoustically treated. We're gonna put a new rig in here. It is finally time. But the point that I really want to get across to you guys is this stuff takes time. When you see people online, on YouTube, on Instagram, and you see their crazy studios and you just think, well, it must be nice. Chances are you're not getting the full story. Chances are there's a much bigger backstory filled with a whole bunch more hardship that you may not realize. My life, my career, my trajectory has been filled with just crazy ups and downs. And I feel very, very grateful that I was able to hang on through the downs in order to experience these moments like are happening right now. So to every one of you that let me work on your music over the past 20 years, thank you. To every one of you guys who are subscribed and watch all these videos, thank you. You guys are the reason why I'm here right now. And I cannot put into words how much it means to me. Now, I'm usually king of the DIY and doing everything myself. Unfortunately, I just don't have the time to build all the panels for this room. So I called up my friends at Music City Acoustics. I bought all of my fabric for this studio build from them when I built the big room. Called them up and asked them to build me the panels and do the layout of the whole room. So Graham, the owner, came over and we worked out a treatment plan. All right, so I've got Graham here from Music City Acoustics. We are going to go over the plans for this room, exactly what we're gonna do. This is gonna become my B room, editing suite, and it sounds pretty horrible right now, so.
Or great.
Or great,
depending on what you want.
Depending on what you want. Could you walk us through the idea a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So Colt sent us a bunch of measurements and pictures of the space, and I put together a 3D model of it. So now he lives in Nashville, I live in Nashville, so we're gonna go through in person and make sure all those measurements are right. Make sure that the acoustic treatment design that I actually put together is gonna work out in this room. So the design kind of just focuses on his main goals for this space, turning it into a B room, having it be a space that you can also track in. Because every space, what we do acoustic treatment wise, we wanna make sure it's really fitting the goals and the needs of that space. So this isn't getting turned into like a mastering room or a mixing room, really focusing on making it the solid B room, solid space to track acoustic instruments or maybe a vocal. And we'll just kind of take it from there.
Yes, perfect. So this is the 3D model that you've worked up.
Yeah, so this is what we got so far. I'm gonna go through, measure out, take some measurements in the actual room, make sure what's in here is accurate, and if not, we'll update it. Make sure everything's working well in the space, make sure that all the treatments are gonna fit, figure out what we're gonna do. There's some like lights that we've got in these clouds. We need to make sure we get power to those. And then also make sure we're not blocking that air conditioning vent that you have up on the ceiling over there.
Yes.
And then just kind of finalize the desk placement. We know because there's gonna be monitoring involved, we wanna keep things as symmetrical as possible left to right so that your stereo image is really defined and accurate. And things that don't, you know, like vocals or any instruments don't try to tend and creep, like they sound to like they're to the right or the left.
Yeah, you were very generous on my whiskey collection there.
Well, you know, they came in groups. I just downloaded something and it occupied the space.
I need more. Clearly.
Also, like this is actually something that comes up fairly often. So like when you start treating a home studio or a space where you're not treating, like in your room, you've like the entirety of your walls treated.
Yeah.
But if you're only treating like a 4 foot tall section of it because you're using panels, that space above it is untreated. And when you have like treatment on that wall and treatment on this wall, and then 2 feet above it that aren't treated, it'll get really fluttery.
Yep.
And if you just take like whiskey bottles or wine bottles or like anything that's round and put them on top of the panels, that'll break up those reflections so you can like clear up that flutter. So you don't necessarily need to control that in the same way that we want to, like right here, where it's like we don't want reflection off that back wall coming back to the mix position.
Totally.
We also don't want to hear like the really distracting flutter up top.
Totally.
Or have, so like just knowing that there's something on that counter makes it easier for me to say, hey, like because this isn't like the most critical listening environment, we don't necessarily need to treat that whole wall.
Totally.
Like things are at least going to get broken up in a way where there aren't these distracting, annoying reflections.
Yeah. How thick are all these panels?
Our broadband panels, so they're like 4.5 inches deep.
Okay.
Same with the clouds in here and the back wall treatment.
Perfect.
That is actually a little unique to like this space because it's not primarily being used for mixing.
Yep.
If it was, those would be deeper, or some, at least like the cloud and the back wall panels would for sure be 6 inches deep, so like our bass trap panels.
Got it.
And then we also have QRD diffusers on the back wall,
Yeah.
which is very much so in here because there are these two guys on the outsides. That's more so like the tracking side of things, and also the fact that we aren't necessarily going crazy with acoustic panels in here. So there's a lot of surfaces that are still untreated.
Yep.
And kind of what we were talking about earlier with like the flutter echo occurring. As you put diffusers in a space, it really helps break things up. So even if you have untreated areas above and below it or to the left and the right, that energy is being dispersed more evenly throughout the room.
Totally.
So then you don't have those discrete echoes or those flutter echoes that are occurring. So it makes the space a lot more natural. If you were in here mixing all the time, those would not be on the back wall.
Yeah. Panels right here.
Yeah.
Any chance we could do those? How thick are you thinking of those?
Those would be really thin.
Yeah, okay.
So
like the thinner the better.
They're 1.5 inches deep.
Perfect.
So
because I have very limited.
Yeah, they're truly just there to break up those parallel surfaces.
Perfect. So I want to go take a look at them building my panels because honestly, I just kind of want to see how they do it. I've built so many panels myself throughout my career. I'm really pumped to have someone else do it, and someone else who's, they're gonna make panels that look better than the ones that I made. All right, let's go check that out. Okay, so they're on their way with the panels and the ceiling clouds. I got the ceiling fan taken down, I got the TV pulled out, and the couch gone. It's time. This is happening right now. Let's go. Thank you.
Yeah, man. You bet.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. How much better does it sound in here? Like, this is such a crazy difference. I don't know why I'm surprised, because literally every time I do a room like this, I'm like, oh my God, it's so much better. And I like can't believe it, but I've done it enough times now. You would think I would believe it. Okay, now I looked and looked and looked for a desk that I thought would work, that I would like, and they just don't exist. One, all the regular desks that are just hardwood are just way too expensive. And all the audio desks, I don't know, I didn't find an audio desk that was like the right size, because this is kind of a small room, so I'm real picky about the size of the desk going in. So, countertop. This is actually an Island hardwood live edge countertop that's already finished. Got it from Home Depot. I'll put a link below. Not affiliated with Home Depot, but this is like super solid, super high-end hardwood. Got a couple legs from Amazon. Legs and desk cable organizer. So this is what we're gonna start with, and we'll see how it goes from here. These screws that came with these legs from Amazon here are actually too long for this tabletop. So it's the next day. I had to go get different screws, and so let's get this desk finished, put together. So there's a couple reasons why I would go with a DIY setup like this over like an actual purchase, like a standing desk or something. And the first one is quality and sturdiness. This is gonna be way more sturdy than anything that you could buy for this price range. So these legs were like 89 bucks, and the countertop is solid wood, really nice, gorgeous piece of wood, which is awesome for taking photos and videos and all this other stuff. But the tabletop was $250, these were $89. So for like 300, what's my math? Like $339, you get like a super sturdy, heavy duty, like lifelong purchase style desk that's gonna look great forever. As opposed to like, I just couldn't find anything cheaper than that. And also I was particular about the size. This is the perfect size for this room. So first of all, I mean, look at that piece of wood. Like, how beautiful is that? All live edge and like just beautiful. Like you can't buy a table or a desk like this for that kind of money. The legs look cool. The other cool thing is they have holes in here so you can actually run a second level across here if you decide to, which we'll see if I decide to do that or not. Probably be pretty cool to put the computer down there. So it's this like C-shaped thing here where you mount this under the desk and all the stuff can sit down in there. That's not too bad. So I think first I should start setting gear up and setting the actual desk up to see if we need these, but I figured we would because I don't want cables draped everywhere. Okay. All right, so I needed to go with a new interface for this desk because I needed more I/O, more functionality than the last one that I was using. And so what I went with is the Avid Mbox Studio. Now, there's gonna be a video coming on this, but it seems very cool. Like the quantity of, like the functionality seems crazy. Like multiple pairs of monitors, multiple inputs, you can run loops in and out. It has a crazy like software matrix thing. So seems like, when we're gonna find out how it sounds, but seems like an incredibly flexible interface, especially for the money. I'm not sure there's another interface out there that does this much for the money. And because this is like a simplistic setup, I wanted some sort of desktop thing. Never cut towards yourself, people. Never cut towards yourself. Looks cool. So there she is. Lots of connectivity on the back. Seems very cool. Knobs feel nice. It's important to have good knob feel. So first I think we gotta do the Doesn't get any better than that. It just seems like the perfect box for this kind of setup. Let's raise that up, and then we can tuck that back in there, and then we'll lower that down, and like that. That looks pretty seamless right there. So stay tuned for the full video on that. But next we gotta figure out monitors. I'm unsure of if the monitors are gonna fit on here or if I'm gonna need stands. Let's get that figured out. Okay, so getting hot up in here. Okay, so these are Focal Solo 6s. These are actually here to go in my Atmos makeover that's going in the big room, which is part of the reason why I'm doing all this, because I need a place to work while the big room's torn apart for God knows how long that's gonna take. So I will probably end up getting a pair of these just to go in here. The speaker selection for this room is technically undecided, but actually I'm really pumped to work on these for a while in here because I'd love to do a dedicated review of these speakers. And the only way for me to really do that is to kind of work on them for a long time. Taking my hat off, I don't even care. My hair's gonna look ridiculous. And I don't care because I'm burning up. Oh, there we go. Woo-wee. Sure are pretty. Now, ISO Acoustics pucks. All right, so these are the pucks that my NS10s used to sit on many moons ago. Okay, so next thing I need to do is get the cabling figured out, power, computer, all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna pull the desk back out and start putting cabling in. And you know, we'll see how, this is the least fun part of the process, but it's kind of fun to watch, so stick around. By the way, I'm gonna put links down below for all this stuff. So if you're interested in checking any of the stuff in this video out, acoustic treatment, the table, monitors, interface, like literally anything, hit the links in the description. All right. Okay, so there is the underside of the desk. These are some cable organizers, under desk cable organizers that I got from Amazon, and they just screw in. They came with sticky tape, but they just screw in to the bottom, and then there's like a little trough there, so that way you just set all your cables in there, so that way they are out of sight. Seemed like the best option. We got a power strip screwed in right there. No rack space in this desk setup. No cables will be visible from anywhere. At least that's the plan. Okay, so next up, shelf for the bottom. One of the reasons that I bought these legs, these particular legs, is because it's a 2-layered desk, and my plan is to have like the computer and stuff down on the bottom. So went and got just a floating shelf, and I think we're gonna make this work on these legs. Let's try that out. Well, guys, I kind of can't believe it. It's done. 15 years in the making. This is kind of crazy to me. So I want to give you a tour of the place and show you everything. But I just want to take a second to let you guys know that this video is not sponsored, but there are links down below for everything, even Home Depot links. So if you saw anything in this video that you liked, make sure you hit the links in the description. And I want to give a big shout out to Music City Acoustics for helping me out with this, because I genuinely did not have time to make all of these panels. And honestly, they look incredible. And honestly, it sounds incredible in here. Like I'm really happy with how this room sounds. And the whole consulting thing that you saw earlier in the video, they do that for everybody. So you can submit dimensions of your room, basically like just what I did. And then they'll put a treatment plan together for you if you're struggling with acoustic treatment or you're not really sure what you need, and then they'll ship it to you. Said I bought all my fabric from them for the big room when I was first building this place, and they've just been super easy to work with and super helpful every time. So I'll put their info down below as well. So far I have edited in here, I have edited multiple videos in here, and I have actually tracked some stuff in here. The room actually has much better flow than I thought for how small it is, and I love how it's like such a contrast to my big room over there. Like the vibe is totally different. Okay, I can't wait anymore. Let me show you guys everything that went into this room. So before we get on to all of this, let's start here. That is a Becerra BZ13. For those interested, I get asked about that all the time. Finally a good spot to put this, I think. Let's leave that right there. So all the panels in here, minus those back there, and we'll get to those, are all 4 inches. Ceiling clouds included. We had to make the indent here for this HVAC, because obviously you can't cover the HVAC up. But honestly, now that it's in, like I like that. I think it'd be a lot more boring looking if they were all 3 exactly the same. All these wall panels, 4 inches as well. And of course the diffuser, which I think these look super good, and you can definitely hear a difference with them. So pretty awesome. And then these panels back here are 1 inch thick, just to kind of try to break up back in here. This is my little workstation. This is a flip out desk right down here. It folds down, but then it also folds back up. Change guitar strings, work on camera gear, like whatever we got to do back here. Little charging station for everything that I got going on, lights, gimbal, all that stuff. But I know that this is what you guys are actually interested in. Let's start with the microphone that is in here at the moment. Neumann U87, the iconic, the classic. Probably some content on this coming soon, because what a wild story and how I got this. This is super awesome where we're running the TV. Right now I'm just using screen mirroring off of the Mac, but I'll likely hook a cable up to that so that way it's like 0 latency. But this is the plan, to have 2 screens going the whole time, and then the rest of the desk. But let's start with the shelf down here. That is a pretty clean setup, and you can see almost no cables. And from the average vantage point, you can't see any cables really. So that worked out super well, I think. Very pumped on that. No matter what computer I have in there right now, it's just the laptop, but no matter what computer I have in there, all the cables are ran down there super tight, and they're all like Velcroed to the back here, so that way you just can't see them. So that's a really clean setup, and I'm really happy with how that turned out. The desk is so sturdy. Like it's like sturdy. This is something that's gonna get handed down to like my daughter. You can't hardly even buy furniture like that, not for any affordable price. So if you guys are interested in something like that, do it this way. My big table that I film at in the other room, I did exactly the same way. So I've recorded a few things with the new Inbox Studio, and honestly, it sounds really great, and the functionality is crazy good. So I'm pumped about that. I like how the knobs feel. I like that there is a mono button. I like that there's a talk back. I like that it's 6 inputs. It's got built-in phantom power. It's got Bluetooth. You can actually reamp your guitar stuff with it because it's got a high Z out. So you could run this out to your guitar amp and then mic the guitar amp up and come right back in off the front panel. But really, the fact that it's got 2 headphone outs, each with their own independent volume control, that's what allows this whole room to work with just one box. I don't need a headphone amp. I don't need any of that. I can track a singer in here. We can both listen to something different at different volumes right from the exact same box. Running the Folk House Solo 6s, and honestly, this is the longest I've spent on these, and I am blown away with how they sound. I'm so pumped. They sound thick in here, like powerful and thick and clear and crisp, and they're fairly analytical, but man, they sound great. Not that I expected anything different, but I'm really pumped that these are the monitors that are going to go in my Atmos rig. So a couple things that I have left to do. I need to get a couple headphone hangers to hang on the side of the desk, like right here. I need to drink enough whiskey to line the tops of these panels with whiskey bottles everywhere. It's going to take the rest of my life. Initially, I had planned on getting a carpet for in here, but honestly, I don't think it needs it. I think it's really, really good sounding in here exactly the way that it is. And this is exactly what I wanted, and I'm so pumped about this. This is going to be such a great place to work, and I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and drop me a comment. If you have questions about any of this stuff in this video, drop it down below. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I mean this from the bottom of my heart yet again. Thank you. Thank you to every one of you subscribers. Thank you to everyone who's let me work on your music. You guys are awesome, and I can't wait to continue trying to give back as much as humanly possible. Don't forget links down below for absolutely everything. It's time to get to work and make some music. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.